Hello everybody, this is Mr. Rob and welcome back to episode number 25 of the Detroit Lions franchise here on Madden NFL 21. Today we're going to bring you a recap abbreviated version of what happened in year one free agency, as this was live streamed this past Friday on my Twitch, uploaded on YouTube on Saturday, which you can go back and watch if you missed out. It was the previous episode. But today I'll bring you guys the recap version, so if you would, make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. Our Detroit Lions finished 7-9 to close the year, missed out on the playoffs, which is won by the New Orleans Saints. They dominated and won the championship. But coming into the offseason, there's some questions, and a big one has been answered. Drew Brees has retired from the NFL after 20 seasons, right, coming off an MVP season as well as a second Super Bowl championship. He's decided to call it quits while he's on top. A bunch of other big names retired. Rashad Jones, Adam Vinatieri after a quarter century, Ryan Khalil, Mercedes Lewis, Dwayne Brown, Josh Norman, who is still alive after being stiff-armed on the ground, and Big Ben. Big Ben has retired as well. A second quarterback goes down to the sunset. I see a couple other ones: Delaney Walker, Thomas Davis, Alex Smith, after he came back, decided to call it quits. Andrew Whitworth, a bunch of big retirees. Julian Edelman. We had a couple. We had Adrian Peterson retire. The great has finally retired. We wasn't going to bring him back. And then our long snapper, Don Mulbach, has also retired. Then fan favorite Frank Gore, the ageless wonder, has decided to call it after a year in New York. They finally ran him to retirement. Ryan Fitzpatrick has also retired. Terrell Suggs, Ball So Hard University, Aqib Talib, Ice Up Sun. Take a look at the record books. Drew Brees ends up first in pass yards with 82,000 yards. Tom Brady, as you noticed, didn't retire, so he has a chance to actually break that. And he had 592 passing touchdowns. Frank Gore finished third in rushing yards with 15,000. Peterson finished fifth with 14,454. And what careers that they have had. Take a look now at regression, those who didn't retire but have going down a little bit. Jamie Collins loses some points, as well as Desmond Trufant. We do have a lot of veterans on this squad. Danny Jones, you can see, dropped. Danny Shelton lost a few. Dale Roberts lost quite a little bit. Coleman lost one in man coverage. Marvin Jones, who's a free agent, lost 27 points. Daron Harmon as well, 9 points. Nick Williams, 7. Marvin Hall, 8. So a couple of other players. Matthew Stafford goes down 8, 2 to medium, 2 to deep, and 2 to throw power. Then Amendola goes down 25 points. So a lot of regression across the board. Now we go into re-signing, which, as you can see, our big ones. Marvin Jones, he is probably the top target, as well as Amendola, Harmon, make up our big three in who is going to be a free agent. Now, one thing about this franchise is I do have a house rule, which I'll get to in a second. But actually, let me talk about this. We actually didn't have that much space in the salary cap, so we decided to look at who we can cut and free some space. And Nick Williams is offered a lot of money this upcoming season and didn't really play. He's scheduled to make $5.5 million. And if we release him, we could save about $3.5 million. So we're going to do just that, save some cap space for the offseason. But going back to what I was saying, I have to let one 80-plus player test free agency every year, and since there's only one and it's Marvin Jones, he's going to test free agency. We also let Bo Ben Schwazzle test free agency as well. And then Danny Amendola. I did want to bring back Amendola, despite the fact that he degressed a lot, because he had his best season with us last year. Collected 933 yards and 10 touchdowns. He was really good in the slot. And I do want to bring him back, so I thought about him for a minute. Going over to a couple of players who increased in dev, Jalen Reeves-Maybin and Miles Killebrew somehow got to start dev. Despite the fact that they got to that point, I decided not to bring them back. They're a little on the lower overall side. But back to Amendola, I decided to offer him what he wanted, $3.95 million. He's decided he's going to actually test free agency. So we're going to have to bring him back separately. That moves us back to Daron Harmon, who's got good stats despite some degression. He wants 3 years, but I've decided to give him 2, and he actually declined it. Goes to the rest of the players. Dale Roberts is going to test free agency. I don't want to bring back Geronimo Allison either. Marvin Hall, not really interested in him. He's already digressing, and he's only a 70. Russell Bodine, the backup center. I think we can find a better backup center. At least not worth 2 years, so we're going to let him test as well. Jason Kabinda, the young middle linebacker, 25 years old. He's got good speed, but not really good at anything else. He'll be testing as well. Ode Abushi, who is our starting right guard, I think Jonah Jackson on the bench could do better. And he's younger, so we're going to let him test as well. And then that leaves us to our last one, tight end Isaac Nana. He's going to test as well. So we didn't bring back a single player in the re-signing period. Had interest in Harmon and Amendola still, and maybe Marvin Jones, but nobody officially is returning to the Lions just yet. So we're going to sim to free agency, but before we get there, I want to take a look at the staff. We obviously need a new coach. We fired Matt Patricia. I took a look at Mike Zimmer. He was one of two options, but I was really interested in Anthony Lynn. I think Anthony Lynn has a better repertoire, and Mike Zimmer's already coached in the NFC North, so I wanted to give somebody else a chance, and Anthony Lynn was fired from the Chargers, and I decided to offer him a deal instead of Mike Zimmer. I think he'll be a better coach. Here is our roster going into free agency. As you can see, Matthew Stafford is our quarterback. We got Kerryon Johnson, DeAndre Swift in the backfield. And then no fullback. Wide receiver, though, looks really thin. We got Kenny Golladay and then Quintez Cephas, the second-year man out of Wisconsin, followed by Travis Fulgham. So really thin in the receiver department. Hockenson and Jesse James, though, still at tight end. Taylor Deckers at left tackle. Joe Dahl left guard. Frank Ragnow at center, Jonah Jackson at right guard, and then right tackle is still either Tyrell Crosby or the well-overpaid Vaitai. So we're going to maybe improve our offensive line. Deshaun Hand is your left end, Trey Flowers is your right end, Danny Shelton is your defensive tackle, Jamie Collins left outside linebacker, middle linebacker is still Jelani Tavai, and Jared Davis, right outside linebacker, Christian Jones, who degressed, and then the secondary is the same, Coleman, Trufant, Okuda. Free safety, though, C.J. Moore is the only free safety. Tracy Walker at strong safety, followed by Will Harris. Prater is your kicker, and Jack Fox is your punter. So now it's time to actually hit free agency, as we have $20 million in cap space to spend. And Trent Williams is your big target this year, 92 overall. A couple of really solid players, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, so the Saints might lose another piece to their Super Bowl run. Kareem Hunt, Jadeveon Clowney, who played with Houston last year. Philip Lindsay, Super Bowl MVP Marcus Williams, Keanu Neal, Earl Thomas. I mean, this is a deep free agency class, which sucks because we only have $20 million in cap space. There's really nothing we can do, especially with these playmakers on the board. Quarterbacks wide, you see Jameis Winston, Colin Kaepernick, Phillip Rivers, and Mitchell Trubisky are your only really quarterback options. Sorry for the notifications. So first thing I want to do is think about bringing back Danny Amendola. He probably missed his chance to get what he wanted, as I'm really going to try to lowball him here as I offer him about 1 year, $3 million, see how he likes it right now. And that's only going to get 65 points, so no guarantee to bring back Amendola. Now I go over to right guard, and there's one player that really, surprises me, and that's Kelechi Osemele, 77 overall, star dev. He is a free agent. He only wants a 1 year deal, and he's one of the better half of the right guards in the league, and we're really thin at that position. So I decided to offer Kelechi Osemele a contract. He wants 1 year, $6 million. So I think I'm going to offer him 1 year, $6 million. I kind of want to get him signed because I don't know if Jonah Jackson is quite ready for that spot. So we're offering him a contract in this stage. Another thing I wanted to target was right outside linebacker. Christian Jones did decrease a lot, and I really want to get rid of him, but cutting him wouldn't make much sense money-wise. So I looked at a couple of options. Demario Davis obviously is the best option at right outside linebacker, and Bud Dupree would be a nice pass rusher off the edge, but they're both just too expensive. I just didn't have the salary cap to bring him in. Then I went back to a wide receiver, and I looked at Cordero Patterson because he had a good season in Chicago last year, and we really also struggled in the return game, so I thought he could be an option, although I didn't offer him a contract. We do sim free agency stage 1, and we do get Kelechi Osemele, and if you notice in the background, that doesn't look like Anthony Lynn. That is Mike Zimmer. He got accepted as our coach. How that happened, I don't know. I didn't offer him a contract, but the game says none of our offers were accepted when Anthony Lynn didn't get a job, and we were the only one who offered him a contract. So I don't know how that happened, but we have Mike Zimmer this year. Not the biggest fan of that, but oh well. Here are a couple of where the coaches landed coaching carousel. Matt Patricia's actually got a job as the coach of the Chargers somehow. Patriots get, hopefully, their successor to Belichick. Bill O'Brien is now in Seattle after Pete Carroll retired. Steelers, they replace Mike Tomlin with the young Demetrius Turner, who gets his first shot into Steel City. Texans get Kevin Irvin, a young coach as well. And the Vikings, they fire Mike Zimmer. They bring in Mike Tomlin. So I think the Vikings definitely beat us in the coaching hire position. Take a look at some of the league signings. Trent Williams will be going to Buffalo. Alvin Kamara leaves New Orleans and goes to the football team on a 5-year deal. Clowney goes to the Raiders. I'm pretty sure John Gruden loves that. Super Bowl MVP Marcus Williams leaves and goes to Jacksonville. Keanu Neal, though, will be a Patriot as 2 NFC South safeties leave. Earl Thomas, he goes back to Baltimore, so it looks like they made up after their offseason scuffle, and he's back on a 2-year deal. Sheldon Rankins goes to the 49ers. D.D. Westbrook goes to the Patriots, so 1 receiver out, another one in. McKinley to the Dolphins, Trey Burton to the football team, and then tight end Gerald Everett also to the Jaguars. Bud Dupree also goes to Seattle, so he is no longer an option. Back to stage 2 and back to Danny Amendola. We decided to increase our offer to $3.25 million to try to get him re-signed. And then I thought about the safety position. Now, I've talked about Tracy Walker moving to free safety because I think he's got a better skill set for that position. And I think Will Harris kind of deserves a chance. I mean, he's not the best option, a strong safety, but I think he could be an option. And I wanted to give him a shot in preseason. But I also thought about some competition, and DJ Swearinger came to mind, a hard-hitting, strong safety. But I don't know if I really want to bring him in just yet. I also thought about Rashawn Golden, a nice young former Panther at 26 years old. He wanted 2 years. I thought he could maybe hit a strong safety. And I also thought about Anthony Levine, more of a veteran option, who I could even move to free safety, give me some flexibility at the safety position. And at the end of the day, I did go with Anthony Levine. I think he is going to be the better option of the 3. I think the flexibility works. And as him and Walker can play both safety positions. So we offered him a 1-year contract. Simming stage 2, moving on to stage 3, we see that we actually did sign Levine, so he did accept our contract. And Danny Amendola accepted as well. So 2 veterans, to say the least, signed our contract. Kareem Hunt also signed with the football team, so now they have a dominant backfield. I don't know why they'd sign both, but that's Madden logic for you. Clowney goes to the Raiders, like we said. A couple of the other players maybe who popped in. And as you can see, Demario Davis got re-signed as well. He went to Indianapolis. Back to Cordell Patterson. I still have some interest in bringing him in. Now I'm actually going to offer him a contract this time. I thought about it after a couple stages, and we're going to give him that 3-year, $13 million contract. You can leave in the comments section, did I overpay for Cordell? Should I have given him a 3-year deal? But simming into stage 4, he did accept that 3-year deal. So Cordell Patterson is a wide receiver, and he is our biggest return option. As you can see, I said Demario Davis, he's resigned with the Colts. AJ Green goes to New York. And Antonio Brown stays in Florida, but he goes to Jacksonville. So very interesting option. Jaguars pick up him and Gerald Everett this offseason. Take a look at the free agents still available. There's some good ones. Aaron Jones, for some reason, didn't get signed. Neither did Marvin Jones. Might have to offer him a contract to return in preseason if available. But here is our roster after free agency. Not much really changed. We didn't have a lot of space to do it. We might have gone mostly lateral, but I didn't want to offer any big-time contracts because we didn't have that much cap space, and I want to wait for next year. But as you can see, here's our roster. We added Cordell Patterson to the receiving game and lost Marvin Jones. And that was the big one. Kelechi Osemele now is our right guard. That's another big free agent acquisition. And I think on the line, Trey Flowers is going to move inside to tackle now. We're going to give Romeo Okwara a chance to start at right end because he had such a dominant year, especially since we're switching to that 4-3 defense. Corners, as you can see, free safety still up in the air. I'm not sure if I'm going to go Walker or Levine to officially be the free safety. And then our special team stays the same. So that'll do it for the stream part of the offseason, but there was a big move that happened after the stream as I kept recording. Now, if you know, next up is the NFL Draft, and the Tennessee Titans have the number 1 overall pick. They were the worst team in the league. They finished 4-12. Now, they didn't necessarily need a quarterback with Tannehill's big contract, and they actually did decide to trade that number 1 pick, and they traded that number 1 pick to the New York Giants for the first-round pick this year, a first-round pick next year, and young right tackle Andrew Thomas. So now the New York Giants have the number 1 pick, and you have to think they're going to take Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, which makes you think, what's going to happen with Daniel Jones? Well, the Daniel Jones experiment is over. The Giants then turned around and shipped him to New Orleans for a 3rd-round pick. The Saints did sign Phillip Rivers in the offseason, but kind of like last year with Winston as a backup, Daniel Jones is going to go to New Orleans. and backup Philip Rivers. So a big move to end the offseason. And next will officially be the 2021 NFL Draft. That'll be a live stream probably next week, as that'll probably be the only time I have open for it. Will be sometime next week around Thanksgiving. That'll do it for the free agency week recap. Let me know what you thought of our moves in the offseason. Do you think we made some good moves? Do you think we didn't make some good moves? I'd like to know your opinion below, but thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe down below, especially if you want more franchise content. This is Mr. Rob, and I'll see you in the next one.